Hello, I'm David Gowland, Artistic Director of the JPYAP Young Artists Programme at the Royal Opera House, Covent Garden. I'm sorry I can't be there in person, but I hope this makes up for it. The reason I wanted to go to Latin America was because we are expanding the programme. The programme is a very international community. London's an international city. I have people from the Far East, I have people from South Africa, from Russia, from Europe, not so many from Latin America. In the past there have been world famous singers from Latin America, and this over recent years, certainly the past decade, has ceased to be, and I wanted to investigate why. Also the fact that a former young artist, André Lopez, is now Artistic Director at the Teatro Municipal in Rio, and has often invited me to go and give masterclasses, auditions, and see what talent there is in Brazil. So with the invitation from Ola and from him, our expansion, it seemed the perfect opportunity to come and visit your wonderful countries. Obviously we couldn't visit all the Latin American countries. This was obviously a pilot scheme first to see if there was any relationship that we could build on between the Royal Opera House and the various countries. I'd been in Mexico last year in Tequila for the summer festival, and was aware of the activities of the Bellas Artes in Mexico. Obviously, Rio seemed a first point of contact with André being there, and together we worked out 3 or 4 other possibilities, centres, where geographically people from other countries could travel to. Therefore, Brazil, Argentina, Chile and Colombia. First impressions were each country seems to have a different traits, different specialities, different weaknesses also. And I think what was fascinating for me in terms of vocal production was that these are often connected to the way people speak their language in those countries. As regards the level of singers, in Brazil, which was our first port of call, and obviously André's home, I found that in general the women were more mature and better developed than the men. And I think this is possibly a general thing in Brazil, that the boys grow up later than the girls do. Women as young as 22, 23, 24, with actually quite sizable dramatic voices, and they knew what to do. What I find is that they have a great dramatic imagination. They're very free, very easily able to express themselves and confident. A general thing I found was that the teaching there in Brazil is possibly less good. Argentina seemed the exact opposite. I think they have great teaching there, very well schooled, almost Germanic, which seems a crazy thing to say. But I found them more inhibited in terms of dramatic expression. Chile has quite an international history anyway. I know the previous regime there, and with Chambert coming from Toulouse, there's a connection with Europe. I think there are great talents and great potential in Chile. What was wonderful is meeting the great philanthropist Heather Atkinson and her support of Chilean talent. That was very exciting, and I could see a system there where they were being encouraged. Colombia, quite frankly, seemed chaotic. It was the most diverse, not a kind of raw talent that wasn't either schooled or dramatically formed. However, what they're doing at the Teatro Colón in Colombia, in Bogotá, was exemplary in terms of the diversity and the diversity of their programming and their sort of international but also local talent being mixed in the programming. The difference of language was noticeable. I've had a Brazilian singer on the program here at the same time as Portuguese people, so they're speaking the same language. The way I hear Brazilian being spoken in the streets is quite lazy. It's quite soft, quite fluid. All the singers agreed with me when I pointed this out. That's what I found in their singing as well. There wasn't enough clarity of definition. It was quite lazy, for want of a better word. In Santiago, I found that the A and the O vowels are very O. They're really quite deep, and some of their singers therefore sounded to me more like Russian. It was darker, and that surprised me. Argentina, in Buenos Aires, I found that people speak very, very clearly, but very softly. In the singing, this manifested itself in that the projection, especially in a big house the size of Teatro Colón, would be problematic. Colombia, I couldn't quite understand because there were a lot of people came from Venezuela, from Colombia, from Peru, all to Colombia. So I was trying to work out who was doing what and what their characteristics were. But again, it was a very relaxed way of speaking, and possibly by European standards, the way they sing Italian or pronounce Italian probably wasn't specific enough. In Brazil, the coaching and training, aside from stagecraft training by Andre, Priscilla Bonfim, who's the head of music, is fantastic at not just mentoring the singers, but mentoring young conductors and repetiteurs too. She has her own academy and is constantly encouraging, supporting, giving opportunities to young pianists and conductors. The level of coaching in Santiago de Chile, wonderful. They have great coaches and conductors, young conductors, and there's enthusiasm. Correspondence with OLA was wonderful, and it was great to meet so many of you wonderful people. I think it's great that this organisation is happening. I'd love to repeat the experience. I think it would be for all to decide where you want to take this partnership, whether you want it to blossom into something. I think places, I would like to go to Venezuela, Peru, and possibly Sao Paulo is what Andre suggested. Mexico, but that would be for all to decide if this experience is worth repeating and building on. I've kept in touch with a lot of the singers. Some of the singers from who I discovered, I've invited already to the second round, to the semi-finals of our annual auditions. There are several who are going to apply, and also because I teach in the conservatoires in London, some of the youngsters who I thought might benefit from being in a conservatoire environment in London, on full scholarship, I can help them as much as I can to have an experience in Europe if that's what they want. Repetiteurs level in Brazil, wonderful. 4 of them, they didn't know all the repertoire, they took it in turns, they were brave, they threw themselves in, got the spirit of it, weren't afraid of making mistakes, and were very quick. They were very on the ball. Santiago, yes, the 2 guys there, very good, and again, not afraid to make mistakes. Disappointing in Buenos Aires and in Bogotá. It was a fabulous trip. It was a real eye-opener for me. I didn't feel that I was going to teach anything, but wherever I travel, wherever it be in the world, it's to learn and absorb and to try and make a difference, trying to meet the people halfway, learning from them and their culture and seeing how I can enhance that without destroying their cultural identity. And certainly great potential, and I hope that all that finds this has been a useful experience. There's definitely a future, and you should all be proud of the young talent that's coming through. I hope it's nurtured, mentored, and gets opportunities in your respective theatres. I hope you can collaborate and build partnerships with each other. I feel that there's a lot of dialogue that can and needs to happen now within all that, within the representative theatres, but then also extending to Madrid, to America and to Europe, and please include London in that.